Every service professional, whether they are providing done-for-you services like design or copywriting, or more intangible services like coaching or healing, has experienced the dreaded scope creep, where a client is asking for more than was agreed on in the beginning and can create a little bit of awkwardness. Sometimes these requests are no big deal and you can just include them in the package and everything is hunky-dory. And other times, these requests can kind of snowball into an avalanche that just becomes a drain on your time and you begin to feel resentful of that client. So how can you avoid this from happening? The answer is to set clear expectations and boundaries. And in fact, these expectations and boundaries begin before you even start working together. First, let's talk about setting expectations. Expectations are little more than just your client knowing what to expect from you, how you work, how should they be engaging you, what can they expect the deliverables to be. And in many cases, this is a scary time for clients. They're putting their trust in you and they aren't really quite sure what to expect. Where for you, if you've been working with clients for a while, this is all old hat. You know that they can trust you. And so there's a little bit of waffle in between here where the client's kind of unsure. They're not really sure how they should be engaging you and what's appropriate to ask and what's not appropriate to ask. And, what am I actually going to get out of this? What is it going to look like? Those kinds of things. And you, very, very confident and probably giving a little less information than you could be. So this is why having a system around creating these expectations is really important if you want to continue to satisfy your clients and attract more amazing people versus like really demanding energy drainers. So how do you do this? Well, one way is to make sure that when you're going through that negotiation process where a prospect is going from just getting to know you to actually signing on as a client, that this is where the expectations begin. You need to discuss the package that they are interested in. What are their needs? And really listen to them. Really listen to what the deliverables are that they want. What are the outcomes that they're looking to achieve? What are the problems they're having? And what are the challenges they've had when they've tried solving those problems before? And really getting clear on what those aspects are so that you can speak to them directly and show how you're going to help and why you do things the way you do. When you do this, it eases things for your clients and they begin to trust you more and get an inside peek of what the process is going to look like. From there, you need to put it in writing. So this writing could be an email that has bullets of this is exactly what you're going to get in this package. These are the outcomes you can expect. This is how we work together. So that might be, when they're allowed to call, or if you're going to have scheduled calls, or if they have access between your calls, either via email or Voxer or whatever it is you use. Or, if you're in a group program, is it appropriate to ever ask a question outside of the group? How would they do that? Those kinds of things. So get this in writing, whether it be a bulleted email. The other options would be a proposal, an actual written proposal that you could then put into a contract, or just a contract on its own, where you guys have both reviewed exactly what's expected of both of you and agreed on it before actually beginning the work. From here comes the second part, which is maintaining your boundaries. So once you've set the expectation, it can be, again, create a little awkwardness when you actually need to hold that line and stick to those expectations. Because I know, because I've done this in the past where someone asks for something and I desperately want to help them, or it's no big deal, and so I just let it slide. But because I didn't remind them of the boundary and that this was outside of the expectations that we set from the get-go, they continue to ask. And once you've already kind of crossed that line, it can get a little bit awkward to revisit those expectations. So make sure that you are holding your boundary and referring back to whatever the agreement was that you made, whether or not you choose to move forward with whatever that request was. You are always in choice. You can always say yes to a request that's outside of the scope, as long as you are reminding them that this is out of scope and that you're giving them a special bonus. And this also just creates goodwill on both sides. And keep in mind, likewise, you're in choice. You do not have to say yes. You can add additional time or an additional fee or whatever it is that you feel you need in order to make sure that this relationship stays in balance and that the energy exchange is what it needs to be in order for both parties to remain happy, because your happiness is just as important as the client's happiness. And this is where the hesitations come up, I guess you could say. So the hesitations around setting boundaries and these expectations, because it sounds really easy in theory, but when you actually start to do it, you're going to run into fears. You're going to be afraid of upsetting a client. You're going to be afraid that they are, going to just think that you are a miser and don't want to actually help them, and they're going to ruin your reputation. Are these things actually reality? Chances are not. I mean, yes, we've all had nightmare clients that probably would do that, but keep in mind that if they do it with you, chances are it's a pattern, and anyone that knows them is going to know that the problem is probably not you. So keep in mind that whatever you are allowing to happen within that client relationship is teaching people how to treat you. There's a really neat quote about this, and I forget who it was that word. I'll look it up afterwards, and I'll make sure that it's in along with the blog post. But what you're allowing people to do is basically teaching them how they should be treating you. So if you can set these expectations, hold your boundaries, you are not only going to be elevating your level of authority and your brand, and you're also going to be teaching people how to respect you and to show up for your clients in a completely different way.